So I'm looking at my fish. You keep talking about trying to find a really good saltfish. How do I determine what a good saltfish is? What am I looking for?
Yeah, I mean, really, it comes down to right now, like the stats, strength, intelligence, and agility are the three like traits that determine the fight winner.
Okay,
So you're, and that's from 1 to 100 is the range there. So the closer you are to 100, the much better you're looking. And so, like at its simplest form, like right now we have two of these death fight pools, which one is called free for all, and then one is the stats under 50. And we launched with the free for all one, which is essentially any fish can enter this pool, and then anyone can attack the fish once it's in the pool. And so, like, if you're looking to enter your first fight, you want to find a fish that you usually have like a chance to beat. Obviously, there's fights where
so
like
how do you
the
find
fish.
those? How do you find those
Yeah,
fights?
so if you go to like say free for all and then click on an opponent fish,
Okay,
and you can see like in that tab that there is fish that have been staked in the pool,
okay, cool.
and so those fish are all available to attack. And like what you'll oftentimes see in like the free for all pool is that they're quite strong fish in there. They've maxed out their power. They've like added all the power ups they can. So they're
Yeah,
really
that's
trying
that's
to
the mistake
protect
I
their
think I
asset.
made. I jumped in the free for all pool and then I was looking at the fish that I had versus the one that I got paired with. And I was like, oh, this is not going to end well.
Yeah, exactly. So and that could be the case where like there are some people that can just if they have a strong enough fish can just come in and um, essentially get a guaranteed win right now.
Does
And the
does
way that it's determined is it's 3 rounds determined at time of transaction.
mhm.
Between those 3 rounds, it's randomly determined each one if it's going to be strength, intelligence, or agility, and it's
Gotcha.
just head to head on those values.
Is there any
So we,
is there anything
yep.
you can do before you go into these fights to prime the fish even more, or you just have you only gain experience and basically increasing the strengths per fight if you make it out? And is there ever an instance where a fish doesn't die? Like, do you get through and like if you lose, it's gone, or if you just lose, you just it goes back to your thing and maybe you lose points or
Yeah. So
attributes.
right now, the two fight pools right now, if you lose, your fish is burned.
Okay,
The non-lethal fights that Ed was mentioning, those will be if your fish loses, it will return to your fish, but the fish food fee that you used to enter is gone.
gotcha.
That's and so that's we're kind of looking forward to that one because I mean right now it's like you can get fish food. It's a lower stakes to enter, so it's like maybe instead of losing the current price of the fish is right around like 10 USD, in or 151, like you could do the fish food fee and maybe it's like $1. So it's kind of like you can have more fun fights. It's kind of back to like Ed saying that that arcade style fun. You can you know put your fish in and see what it can do for your so to speak quarter, but in this case it's fish food.
Yeah, no, that's
um,
cool.
and it's less risk and and we actually think it's going to be a really good spot for people to kind of learn the fighting dynamics there too. And
Yeah,
to your earlier question, what can you do to um, you know give your fish the best chances before you fight? So if you're on the site right now and you see like the fish 259, they have a power up, so they have the strength boosted, which um, that showcases as the power meter and then the red fire icon in it, and then they also have the fire visual animation. So that's one piece we didn't exactly mention, but one of the utilities of fish food on launch has been you can feed your fish. Um, you can feed your fish, I believe it's every 15 minutes, and that increases its power. So, like
gotcha.
your fish, when you catch it from
Oh
the
yeah, I see the
ocean,
power. Mhm.
starts at zero power, and
Yep,
that's that black gauge. And then as you feed it, it increases it. Um, and so the importance of power is like once you max it out, you can then spend 10 of it and that's what people have done to increase the strength or
gotcha.
increase the intelligence or increase the agility. You can choose one of those three, and it gives it a 10-point boost. for 3 fights. And those are just like that's one thing we're pretty excited about is like some of these like power ups, and we call them modifiers. And you can even see like this person has a fish scale modifier applied and a bloater modifier applied. And that's one thing we're excited about. And I think one of the questions we saw in the Discord is so like if you have a Lambo with fins, there's like opportunities that how we built it out is we could essentially look at the wallet that owns a fish and see what assets they have. We can query and see if they're the owner of a Lambo. We can do these things, and like right now, the initial one we launched with was the bloaters. So like in that case, people actually spend bloaters to get a power up. And if people that aren't familiar with bloaters, it's a fish that you catch in DeFi kingdoms. It's an
Okay.
ERC20
Cool.
token, and they're like essentially really cheap, and they don't have much utility in DeFi kingdoms. So if you use it in our game, it takes away from your intelligence and boosts your strength.
I love that. I love seeing projects look at ways to really incorporate cross gaming within the chain. I think that's a tremendous, very very understated and probably one of the most important things that the smart contracts allow in this space, right? Like all of a sudden
Absolutely.
you can take somebody who may have a really good project but doesn't have a whole lot of eh, the know-how or the desire to do it, or maybe just really good art or whatever. But
Mhm.
then adding that second layer of bringing it in and porting it into like a fishing game or bring it over into Harmonyville, like letting
Exactly.
other people use those assets, not just in one spot, make it a very, very, harmonious or dynamic. So that's really, really cool that you guys are thinking of that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
the main way we're planning on it right now is actually we're setting it up for basically the ability to stake an NFT with the project. We've been planning on using DFK Hero to start, but generally giving people the option where you can essentially like catch fish as a Lambo, or catch fish as a DFK Hero, or a one can, and then based on like logical kind of game like meta that we want to try to craft, the way the game would react when that with that particular NFT staked would be just a custom modifier like he was discussing. And yeah, the way we've set up everything right now is forward looking, so that we can actually support any number of projects and a wide range of variables. I think right now we have like 36 different variables that are driving how the game plays that we like expect to have to fine tune over time. And from like the chances of catching the ways that the odds on what a bred fish is offspring, like what are the odds that it'll have its own genes versus its parents' genes, and all of these things can actually be modified without having to like redeploy contracts, and generally like making use of, like you're saying, that magical factor that can exist between projects where we can really take advantage of the fact that there's other games that are building these interesting like tokenomic structures and like these like minting like scarcity aspects that make it just makes it unique more than it can be in regular gaming worlds, that in a
Yeah,
way that we think is
unique
really
mhm,
undertapped.
and personal. Yeah, I think it'll be cool to see the
Exactly.
next layer too. Is like, let's say for example, you take one of the fish and you can bring it over into Harmonyville and throw it in an aquarium there, and then that fish is able to earn something and compete in missions and explore whatever, right? Like not only now do you have the ability to go play somewhere else, you have the ability to earn somewhere else too. Like I think that's again that added layer of at least our vision over in Harmonyville. And what we're building is just trying to add all those layers so that way it's not just NFT project doesn't go anywhere. And it's like if you go look at the early days of all the different farms that were just popping up, all these farming tokens. What do they do? nothing, right? So it's really cool to see.
That's,
Real
that's
quick,
awesome that you guys are building that. And that's one of the things we're very excited about too. Like you said, the partnerships and cross compatibility is
yeah,
all
it's
very
awesome.
exciting. So that's really cool to hear.
When I'm looking at my fish, so obviously they're arranged in an order of mint. Is there a way, or have you guys looked at a UI that allow me to see where my most powerful one is without me having to click on each one and then try to like visually remember who had the best average, or
Yeah,
does that
so
already exist?
you can actually do that,
Okay.
and it's maybe not super clear. So this is one of the things. One of the things that we are working on is some more tutorial content to, um, you know, essentially like flyers
Oh,
and
okay. I
things
found it.
on
Sort by
the screen.
strongest.
Yeah, so that and that will go by, and it's yeah. So basically, the total fight points equates to that.
Nice.
And
And what's
the
buff? I see there's a
consider.
buff button. What's BUFF for? Are you buffing your fish up?
Yeah, so that one, if you were to click that, it opens up a modal, and that's where
Yeah.
you would be able to select, okay, I have 10 power that I want to spend to increase the strength,
Cool.
or I want to increase intelligence, or that's where you would also do it would trigger the transaction to spend, say, bloater.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
And that's again where like that menu could be where we like integrate with another project's token and add that in there. Um, yeah,
Yeah, as we add new tokens, that's where they'll show up. And yeah, a lot of this stuff it's kind of, I should have mentioned when you're asking about just like how to play the game, but the way we have it set up to use the fish food to feed your fish is a core part of basically how the game works. You do get enough fish food to kind of play the game for free over time is the idea. And then as you feed your fish, they raise their power levels up, and that's basically like your stamina in the game. And you can spend your stamina as a kind of transformative way. The idea is that you're actually going on a quest and being like made magic, almost similar to like Legend of Zelda, when in like the very old version where you went to the fairy temple and it would like put you into full hearts and you'd be able to shoot your sword.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so
Cool.
if you feed your fish full power, you can then buff naturally by spending that power. You can buff your fish and one of its three core stats. Yeah.
Gotcha. Fish, is that traded somewhere? Your
yes,
token?
it is NFT key and tofu
No, no,
NFT
not the NFTs, the token.
oh, I see.
Yeah, it's on DFK
Okay, cool.
and Sushi right now. We have a kind of split liquidity in that frame, but there's only about 150,000 total supply of fish food in the whole game, in the whole world. And so it's pretty scarce because the only way to earn fish food is either by waiting in the alpha pool or the fighting pools and like earning fish food by waiting for someone to fight you,
And
or
you
by
earn
killing fish.
one fish food per day, per 24-hour blocks.
Yeah, that's
Right, for per fish, yeah.
Per fish. But it
That's
doesn't
sort of
it doesn't
kind of
accumulate.
doesn't accumulate right now.
Okay.
But that's definitely something we're looking into.
yeah.
Like for
It's a little
instance, the
more
non-fighting.
Oops,
Yeah.
It's
No, just
it's,
that we're trying to use the incentives that we have around in the game. And
Right.
right now, you can make quite a bit of fish food just by being an alpha in the game and waiting for someone to challenge you. And the big thing though would be if you collect fish food somehow or buy it from the open market, you can feed your fish I think it's actually 10 minutes, every 10 minutes. And then it takes 3 feedings to feed your fish to full power level. And from there, you can boost it again. You have to actually have a full power level for your fish in order to breed it as well. And so you kind of have to fill your fish up in order to breed it. And then there's like a gender or a sex dynamic to the way the fish work based on murder, where only alpha fish can breed or can be paid to breed, and only beta fish, which all fish are born as beta fish, similar to clownfish actually. And if you are a beta fish, you can pay another alpha fish, and then you receive the baby. Is the concept basically?
Cool. I love it. All right, cool. So we've touched about 30 minutes of kind of gameplay. You guys have mentioned the DAO. I'm not sure if you wanted to just kind of touch on that a little bit, or if you want to say that for another topic. And then if there was anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to talk about before we got to some of the member questions.
Yeah, we have a DAO vote going on right now. If to basically establish if we should hold a fish fight ugly fish competition, which would be just voted on and submitted through our Discord, and then the amount of funds and fish food that would be allocated for this prize. And this is only like anyone with, like, it's a one fish, one vote mechanism.
Okay.
And so basically, the idea of the DAO in general is that because 55% of every minted token in FishFight is deposited into the FishFight DAO multisig rather, and so most of the funds that we raise from the game itself goes to basically token buybacks, competition fee, like rewards. If we're going to, as we're about to launch, and I'd say I'm going to put Isaac on the spot and say like a month, we'll have tournament play ready to go.
I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah, tournaments are the next big focus after the non-lethal fights as far as fighting goes. There's a couple of other things we want to maybe touch on, but the actual contract development side of it, that's our big focus after the non-lethal fights.
And those will be sponsored by the FishFight DAO, and they'll also be streamable. So we're going to be working to set up our own Twitch channel, but also working with partners to Twitch tournaments or to stream their tournaments as well. So we can actually have a live stream. So like that's one of the things I'm working on is retooling the fighting and visuals for the fighting mechanics and the breeding mechanics, so that not only can we see them now again, but we can actually have them play out in a kind of like 10v10 tournament, March Madness style, where like a streamer will be able to trigger the beginning of a tournament, and it will actually play out in some cascading fashion.
Oh, I love it. Awesome. Very cool.